What's going on? Danny Cho here with Real Talk.
And I'm Ellie. I'll be co-hosting Real Talk with Danny. It is my first day, so you're going to have to help me out a bit.
You're a little nervous, aren't you?
I am.
Don't be, because we are here at Solaire in the heart of K-Town.
Isn't this place amazing?
It's wonderful. Now, Ellie, I have a question for you. How many biracial Koreans do you think are in California?
If I were to take a wild guess, I'd say, 30,000?
Actually, it's about 53,000 Korean, biracial Koreans, in California.
Imagine that. I would never have guessed that number.
There's a lot because, it's a multicultural society now.
And that's what the United States is known for.
Yeah. So that's what the topic of today's show is, biracial couples and biracial relationships. So let's go find our guests.
Awesome. Let's get right to it.
Interracial marriages are more common than ever.
Researchers have found that Americans are more likely than ever to marry outside their
These
race.
days, nearly 15% of U.S. marriages are interracial, up from 7%.
Hi, thank you guys for coming. Before we start, can you introduce yourselves to the audience?
Sure. Hi, I'm Diane Farr. I'm an actress and an author, and I think today we're going to talk about my latest book called Kissing Outside the Lines.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Field. I'm an actor and from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm half Korean, half white.
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Philip Spearman. I own Inkworks Tattoo. I'm an international tattoo artist, and I'm half Korean, half black.
Okay, so Diane, first of all, I found the article on your marriage to a Korean man in 2006 quite interesting. You also wrote a book called Kissing Outside the Lines. Very interesting book, by the way. So can you tell us a little bit about your love story, like how you met your Korean husband?
I did. I met him in Mexico, actually, where everyone should meet their Korean husband. He was a friend of mine. A bride and groom were getting married at a destination wedding, and we fell madly in love pretty quickly. And then about our sixth date, he said, I have to tell you, I'm supposed to marry a Korean girl. And I said, you have another girlfriend and she's Korean? You're that guy? But it wasn't the case. It was just trying to broach the subject of what the book is about, the sort of secret conversation that many American parents have, whether they're Korean or any other heritage, sort of saying, yes, we believe in equality and all people are created equal, and isn't the golden rule amazing? But when it comes to love, you can't necessarily love one of them. So
what were the challenges of dating someone outside of your race?
Well, the first one was the sort of obvious one, the fearful one, that his parents might either not accept me or sort of shun him for dating someone that was different than what they imagined. So when we first decided to take on the challenge, it was whether or not I was game to sort of try this with his family and what our intentions were. And we were big grown-up people. We were in our 30s, and I think it worked for us in both ways. I think it helped with the acceptance, and I think it helped that we weren't financially dependent on them, and we sort of had our own jobs, and we were just going to try and present the best case. And it gave us a little bit more patience.
See, my mom, I brought home many non-Korean women, and she had a fit every single time. But her reasoning was because that there was a culture difference.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That was the same reasoning. And I think it's a really important difference because I don't think even my husband's parents were trying to maintain a bloodline. It wasn't like that they thought that there would be a dilution of the race. I think what people have, which is fair, is a worry about the death of culture and that the traditions that you tried so hard to teach your kids might go away. But I do think, which I'm sure you'd probably agree with if you brought home some non-Asian girls, that the culture in America is kind of the same in the same sorts of families about valuing your parents and valuing education and valuing having children. It's just you can judge on a person-by-person basis as easily as you could judge a Korean-by-Korean basis.
Well, Philip and Jennifer, you guys are products of an interracial.
Right.
And you know how they say, like, interracial couples, they make cute babies, and you guys are damn good looking. So anyway, when it comes to your ideals of dating, I know some people that might be even more traditionalist or maybe more like, I only want to date a Korean man or woman. You know what I mean? Like, what are your takes on relationships?
I can pretty much go across the board on any race, but I feel like I would rather want somebody that has some Korean culture, because I grew up Korean, I speak Korean. I mean, I grew up in Koreatown, you know? And it's just when I dated non-Koreans, there's like little things missing, like, you know, like Korean girls, they kind of like do stuff for you, and you know, I've dated other races and they don't do those things. And then I would find myself getting upset or a little irritated. And then I'm like, well, I have to understand they don't know these things, you know? So yeah, pretty much anywhere on the board, I'm okay. They gotta be hot though.
Yeah.
Of course.
As long as they're hot, I'm okay.
How about you, Jennifer?
I basically date colorblind. Like, I just have dated almost all races, so I don't have a preference, but exactly what Philip was saying. There's something about dating a Korean guy, though, that I have an affinity with. It's not just Asian guys, it's specifically Korean. There's just something that we connect to, we both can understand. To me, it's either hopefully a Korean or everybody else to me is the same.
Wow.
It's kind of how it works.
So you're basically saying that Korean guys have a shot at you right now.
They're my favorite.
Boom, boom,
Watch out.
boom, boom. Korean dudes, you hear that? So, you know, what are the pros of interracial marriage that you guys have seen, you know, the way your parents interact and stuff? Pros and cons, actually.
The pros is it gets each other's race to understand each other a little bit closer, you know, because when you see another race on the streets, you can't broach certain subjects or you can't get that close, or there's fears, but this way it allows each other to understand people for their culture and who they are. So I see that as a positive note.
How about you, Jennifer? Do you have specific culture clashes that stick out to you or bother you?
Being your own person is a lot more a common trait than back east. So you can imagine, like, my dad will push for that, but my mom is more like, no, you got to fit the mold, fit the mold, fit the mold. So it was hard, but they obviously got together for a reason. My dad is really big on education. He speaks fluent Mandarin, fluent Japanese, conversational Thai, conversational Burmese. So he's all, you know, I shouldn't say yellow fever, but he's pretty,
Wait,
he's pretty cultured for a white man. Yes.
Does he speak Korean?
That's the only one he doesn't speak.
So he married a Korean woman and doesn't know how to speak Korean.
Yeah, I know. What the heck? Yeah, that's what we always laugh about.
I think he
yeah.
replaced the language with the woman.
There you go. Yeah.
She smiled with the sweetest eyes. She couldn't believe what she had seen. A love embrace, no compromise. A spectrum of color with every shade in between. This is for the hearts that it hated. Said that it couldn't work out. I don't know why we hesitated. Just close your eyes and see what love's all about. And we are ready. We are ready now.
You're watching Real Talk.
And it's weird because typically when I think about an interracial couple, it's always a Korean woman with a, but it's different. You know what I mean? Like, your husband's a pimp. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't see that too often.
No, because when you see like a Korean man with a non-Korean woman, you know what I mean?
You look twice.
You're like, dude, hey, homie. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I do. That's what I do. Hey. But if it's the other way around, I'm like, whatever. You know? Like, so that's cool. That's cool because we're not viewed as sexy. Do you know what I mean? Like, Korean men we're not underwear models. You know what I mean? We are stereotypically, we're not. You know what I mean? So.
Well, Jennifer begs to differ.
Oh
she
yeah,
just
I know.
said
Seriously.
that she prefers Korean men.
I'll be an underwear model.
We can only hope that it's sort of changing now, right? With the bamboo ceiling and sort of like the cover of New York Magazine recently is sort of talking about how Asians have been stereotyped for so long. And I don't think the Tiger Mom book was doing anybody any favors of further putting Asians in a specific box.
Yeah.
But part of what I was trying to talk about in the book was part of immigration and part of what America was supposed to be about was the fact that there are a lot of cultures here, and that makes the American culture. That you being half black and half Korean is sort of the definition of American. That both can live here and both can exist, and you can take both things from your culture and come over to my house, and that becomes part of our shared experience. So rather than using our cultures against each other, that we're kind of making a common spot for them.
In terms of culture, I mean, you two, you said you like Korean men and you are married to a Korean man. What are some cultural misunderstandings that you've had that might be kind of interesting?
I have one, but it's very easy to say it's just male-female. I talk way more than my husband talks. I mean, if you want to have an emotion, I have all of them. He has like 3.
Yeah.
So our sort of path in marriage is working out for me to talk a little bit less, to leave a little bit more space for him, to figure out what he's feeling and put it on the table. And to me, there are times where it's very clear where it's an Asian Caucasian thing. But every girl I know is having the same problem with her man, and it sort of doesn't matter what color they came in.
But it seems like Korean men typically are not more, they don't express their emotions as much. It seems that way to women, too.
Well, you were just saying that you were sort of taught that also by your mother.
To kind of hold back. Totally. Oh,
so
completely.
it feels like that might just be part of the culture where in my house it was so loud and it was so chaotic and you had a feeling it was sort of flying out of your mouth before you had even edited enough to sort of encompass it. So it's part of our process in a marriage, but I'm not entirely sure if it's not just a male-female thing.
I think it is, it's a degree. You know what I mean? There's a degree issue. Yeah, because of the fact that like men don't like to express their emotions. You know, we don't watch, you know, like sad movies and cry in public. You know what I mean? I I cry in private. But the point is, like, when we talk about our you know, emotions, you know what I mean? Like, why? Tell me what you feel. Like, I don't want to know. You don't want to know, because I feel like it's not my place, and I think guys' truths are a little bit more brutal anyway. So like, I just try to hold it in. How about you, Jennifer? Any?
I like it if I can be as masculine and as strong as I am. And so sometimes with Korean guys, because I think they want to be the very masculine one, that's, I think, where culturally it might be weird, because I want to match them or beat them, or I want to have I want to have a little bit of the
Juice
too.
The juice. How about you, Philip? Any interesting Korean girl dating situations?
Too many and too much to put on TV. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird for me because I'm half black and Korean. Most half races don't really speak too much of the language. But my mom, she wanted me to learn Korean, so she just spoke to me in Korean when I was a kid. So I didn't go to school for Korean. I just spoke it at home. So I kind of grew up with a Korean culture, plus it's my mom, so she raised me. And then I went out, you know, and then I'm half American or half African American as well. So I don't know, I really haven't had any problems dating or cultural differences. I don't know, I'm right in that middle where I can kind of go between the lines and kind of do my thing. You know, I'm American too, so I can go this way. I have like different groups of friends and people and cultures that I can associate myself with. So.
See, but since you're half, you know, like when you see Korean dramas and it's all melodramatic, you're not like that, right? You don't, like, when she leaves and runs out, you don't like grab her arm and just bring her back and hug her. No, not like that, right? You don't do that.
Or open the door for yourself.
Yeah.
And shut it behind you.
Not like that.
See, that's the thing. It's like, because I do that, and that's where we get in trouble. Because, you know what I mean? Where she's like, I'm leaving. I'm like, no, you're not. You know, and then in the movies, like she hugs back, and she's like, oh, he loves me, but not in real life.
Or is it just you?
Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's me, because I'm a fantastic hugger. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Anyway.
So Diane, you said you had 3 young children. Have you, or do you plan to teach them about both cultures or one culture over the other? Have you thought about that?
Of course, we thought about it nonstop while we were pregnant. It was like the genetic face-off. We would see ultrasound pictures, and each side would sort of say like, "Oh, it looks just like us." And what do you do for the birth? And what do you do for the first birthday? And what do you do for the 100th day? So we did sort of what I define as American. We did all of them. We did the things that I did growing up, and we did the thing that Sing does growing up. I think the culture comes through the most in the food and the holidays and sort of how you spend the time. We have not taught the kids Korean, which was a sort of conscious choice. My husband speaks Korean, but just enough to speak with his parents. And
I would suggest maybe teaching them.
Yeah.
Because for me, so many doors have opened because I speak Korean. You know, I can go to Korea, I can do business, I can do a lot of things, and it allowed me to understand the culture so much more that I think I wouldn't understand if I didn't speak Korean, you know. So it was definitely a plus, and I really thank her for that.
And aside from language, just language, there's also other aspects of the Korean culture. For example, little things like taking off your shoes when you enter someone's house, or bowing, and respect for elders, and certain way of life more than culture, I suppose.
Yes.
Those kinds of things, have you learned a lot of those from your husband's side of the family, and do you kind of teach your children to kind of do the same thing?
you know, it's so funny. These are the things that I think end up more in American culture than anybody's ever aware of. So if you ask most cultures if they think that respecting your elders is important, they will say yes. Having sort of moved fluently between Asian and Caucasian culture, it's much more prevalent in Asian culture, but of course, it's prevalent in our house. I lived in New York before I met Sing, and I never used my shoes in the house because I live in a dirty city. And I live in a dirty city again, so there's no shoes in my house. The bowing sort of just became part of the scenario. When everybody was walking in your house and bowing, there was a couple of errors. My brother one time ran up and hugged Sing's mother, and it was as if he had touched her inappropriately. Like my whole family learned the chasm of, okay, don't touch. You're not that familiar. And the little things sort of came with time, but there wasn't that much of a cultural difference when you really came down to how you treated your parents and how you treated your kids and how you respected the things in your own house.
Jennifer, you brought up identity crisis. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, I think just for me, for obvious reasons, I don't look very Korean, so that was like an automatic, like that's going to be something you're going to have to deal with the rest of your life. So for me, it's really, I'm sure you can maybe relate to this. I swear, it's still, there's so much depth to this issue. Am I Asian or am I white?
I just came to a point where I didn't choose. I just stopped caring, you know. I had people say, you're not Korean and you're Korean. So I just stopped caring. That's why I got tattoos. My mom was, you know, traditional Korean. She was so upset I got tattoos. Well, people already look at you this way. Why are you making it worse for yourself? And I said, hey, you know what? If they're not going to like me, I'd rather for them not to like me for my ink than because of the way I was born.
A lot of, you know, significant and famous